She stayed by his side for more than 16 years while he was on the lam, and after Whitey Bulger was captured, Catherine Greig pled guilty to charges of helping him stay on the run. Now, more than 3 years after she went to prison, Greig faces new charges for allegedly refusing to say who helped her and Whitey stay free. Is she a victim of prosecutorial overkill? WGBH's Emily Rooney was in federal court today as Greig made an initial appearance connected to these charges. Good to see you, Emily. So, sentenced 8 years in 2012, civil contempt since, which I think added 9 months.
Yeah.
And now criminal contempt on top of it?
Now criminal contempt, and they don't really have a maximum for it, but the betting is she could get up to 36 months, so another 3 years, maybe even more. So she was supposed to start testifying before the federal grand jury in December of 14. She refused to say anything when she was called, and she's been called several times since then. So there's this kind of a cruel system for penalties, and she's going to trial, though. This is going to go to trial.
This was just stage one of the trial?
Today was a formal arraignment.
So, first of all, what did she look like? What kind of shape was she in?
Jim, she looked just awful. She was ghost white. Her skin was almost translucent. She's only 64. She looked 84. Her hair was extremely thin. You could see her scalp through it. She had what almost looked like sideburns in front of her ears here, and then the ears were bare, and then the hair was cut really, really short in the back. She was wearing this blue teal two-piece, sort of like a scrub suit, and then she had on a long sleeve crew neck under that, but she looked really thin.
So if she didn't testify when civil contempt charges were pending, why does the U.S. attorney think that the threat of criminal charges is going to cause her to talk when she didn't before? I don't quite get this.
I think they think she really knows something, and they want her to testify. So this is a way of saying you're going to end up spending more time in jail. We're just going to keep coming after you. If you would just tell us what you know, this whole thing would go away.
Well, in the defense of the U.S. attorney for once here, if it turns out her lawyer, this is Greig's lawyer,
Yeah.
I've heard him say she doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
If she doesn't know anything, why doesn't she just testify that she doesn't know anything?
Well, that's the thing. They think she does know something, and then she could be in contempt if she says she doesn't know anything, and it turns out she does. She's got to know something.
You know, there are quite often Carmen Ortiz, case after case, is accused of prosecutorial overkill.
Yeah.
By the way, Mass Lawyers Weekly, not exactly a left-wing rag, used that term in an editorial. John Martirano killed 20 people. She could end up, and he's collecting Social Security in Cambridge now, as far as I know.
And got $20,000 to start a new life.
Check on the way out the door. She could end up being in jail
Right.
longer than Martirano.
Yeah.
What kind of
Killed
justification
nobody.
is there for this?
It doesn't work like that, as you know. I mean, he did give them information. He ended up literally leading them to the body, so he was a very useful informant in a
But
sense
she
to
killed
them.
no one. She hurt no one. By the way, I'm not defending. She committed a crime. She pled guilty to the crime. I mean, it's just, does it not to you as a human?
Well, you and I talk about this all the time. I mean, you know, if I was in charge of this, the criminal justice system wouldn't work like this. You know, I think even 8 years was a lot. 8 years was a tremendous amount for Sal DeMacy. Way too much, if you ask me.
Both Carmen Ortiz, I should say, U.S. attorney. So let me just understand one last thing. Can she purge herself if she decided to testify? I assume they drop these criminal charges, right?
She was told she does not have to answer any of the questions. So, because, you know, you can't put yourself in jeopardy. So when she goes on trial next month, or maybe early January, she's not going to have to really say anything because she can plead the Fifth.
So the bottom line is it continues for Catherine Greig. Emily, by the way, cameras in the courtroom today?
Oh, yeah, right. Front and center. That's why we had all the great pictures.
Federal court, no cameras. Emily, good to see you.
Good to
Thanks
see
so
you.
much, Emily Rooney.